guys, it's Kaz here, and today I'm going to be doing my top 10 worst books of 2019. I mean, is it a top 10 then? Is it a bottom 10? Either way, it's the worst, most disappointing, least best books I read in 2019. My top 10 books of 2019 will be released on Monday. Come back and check that out. I kind of attempted to make some sort of semblance of order. The last 3 are the only 3 books I gave 2 stars, and all the other ones in the list I gave 3, but they still weren't the best. So, kicking off proceedings is The Lovely Bones by Alice Sebold. This is on this list not because it was a bad book or a terrible book, but because my opinion changed with this book so dramatically throughout the course of it that it's got to end up on this list. Basically, the first third of this book, I was all set to give it a 5 stars, and you know how picky I am about 5 stars. And then it went downhill, and the choices made in this book were so bad that I eventually gave it 3 stars. And yeah, if you've read this, you'll know the ending. It's just, why? That's all I've got to say. This is about a girl who gets murdered, and then it's her telling the story from heaven, looking down on all her family and the killer, and basically watching them get on with their lives and trying to figure out what happens and where to go from here. There was such potential in this. Like I said, I blasted through the first 3/4 of it. I thought it was going to be a 5 stars. And then Alice Sebold ruined it. Next up, the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. This has to be on this list because I put it down for months and months and months, because half of it is written in second person and I hate second person writing. Eventually, the last bit, there was less second person and I kind of slightly enjoyed it a bit more, but I couldn't not put it on this list when it was such a slog to get through. I think I stopped on about page 180 and then left it for several months. So, this is a fantasy. It follows different points in time and different people, and it's very throw you in at the deep end. You haven't got a clue what's going on. You don't know what any of the magic system or any of the words mean. It's kind of, you have to figure it out as you go along, which makes it even less enjoyable if you hate second person and you don't know what the fuck's going on. But eventually, you know, it was alright at the end. I am going to carry the series on, but I can't not put it on this list. I very almost DNF'd it, and I don't DNF books. Next up is The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Volume 1. This one, it was just kind of boring. Nothing really happened. You met all the different characters. I mean, even if you haven't read this, you might have seen the film. It follows all the different characters like Jekyll and Hyde and the Invisible Man and Captain Nemo. You know, the premise sounds fun and interesting, but the story just isn't. It's kind of boring. Even the mystery going on isn't mysterious enough to be interesting, which is kind of blah. And then even the artwork doesn't really make up for it because that's kind of blah too. This is basically all those different characters getting collected up and trying to figure out this mystery, but yeah, not the best. Next I have Low Volume 1. This one I really thought I would enjoy because it's by Rick Remender, who does the Deadly Class series, which is one of my favourite comics, but it was just a little bit, it just felt very rushed. It was very all over the place. It was very heavy sci-fi. Again, like the 5th season, it didn't really explain much. It kind of kicked in straight at the deep end, quite literally, because they're underwater. And it just didn't give you any breathing space for anything to have an impact. Like, something happens at the beginning, everything kicks off, and certain characters get killed, and then it's like 20 years later and you don't have any impact of anything that happened. The artwork is slightly more enjoyable than The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, but it's still not my favourite. Basically, something went on with the Earth and then it sent everybody to the depths of the ocean, and then stuff kicks off. Like I say, it doesn't give you any chance to actually ingest the story. It's just like boom, 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 moving on. Next I have Filth by Irvine Welsh. This one, I don't know if I would have enjoyed it more if I hadn't already seen the film, because I knew like the twist, so maybe that's on me. But even so, I just felt like it was very, very repetitive. It follows a character, Bruce, who's a police officer. There's been a murder, he's trying to figure that out. But it's just basically about him being a disgusting, vile, horrific, horrible human being, piece of shit. And like, I don't mind characters that are a bit shit, but give them layers, especially because it takes place within his mind. And in your own mind, sometimes you feel sad or happy or upset. But it's in his mind and he doesn't have any emotions other than being a dickhead. So I'm just like, what's the point? And then with the twist, I wanted more to do with the twist. I wanted more to do with the murder that was going on. It was just very him going out, taking drugs and shagging people, just over and over again. Give me some more of the murder, give me some more of his wife. It didn't give me what we want. I mean, give me more of the tapeworm. If you read this, you know, part of it is told by a tapeworm. Give me the more interesting parts, not just the same shit over and over again of him being a dickhead. Also, side note, I don't know if I actually remembered to mention this when I wrapped this up, when I read it, but even him personally described himself as disgusting, sleazy, horrific. He's got piles, he's like all crusty and gooey and shitty all around his genital areas, but literally every single female character you meet wants to shag him, does shag him, and then falls in love with him. Wishful thinking, I think. Are you trying to tell us something, Irvine Welsh? Do you think all women fancy you as well? I don't know, but it's a bit odd. Next up is Specials by Scott Westerfeld. This is on here because it's a carbon copy of Pretties, which is the second book in this series. This is the third book. It's just kind of pointless. Literally the first half of this book is exactly the same storyline as Pretties, just rehashed again. There's no point. That's it. The characters just get irritating by this point and it's just blur. This is a sci-fi story, dystopian type thing where when people hit 16, they get turned into pretties and everyone's just pretty, not much in the brain but loads in the face. And then, you know, government stuff, dystopian stuff. It's just, it didn't need to be a trilogy. It's just the same shit, different day. Next I have We Disappear by Scott Haim. This one, I'm mostly disgruntled at this because of the synopsis. The synopsis makes it sound really interesting. It makes it sound like a psychological thriller. There's some kids that have gone missing. They're trying to figure out what these missing kids have to do with his family. There's a kid trapped in a basement somewhere, locked up in handcuffs. It seems like it's going to be really interesting and really psychological. What it actually is just this meth head going home to look after his dying mum who's dying of cancer, who also is kind of obsessed with these missing kids that went missing years ago. And it doesn't really progress from there enough. It was just kind of boring. It was a family drama without even much drama. It was just, oh look, this guy is a meth head. He's going home, he's thinking about meth, he's taking meth, his mum's dying. Little bits of sprinkle in there of this mystery of the kids going missing, but it really is not the main part of the story. And the back makes it sound like it is, so it sounds interesting, but then you read it and you're like, it's not that interesting. Kind of boring. And these last three books are the only books that I gave 2 stars to. The first one being Black Panther, the complete collection. I just found it extremely boring. It was really long, it was like 400 pages of just blah. About halfway through I was just trying to read it as fast as possible because I just wanted to get through it because it was so boring. This one, it wasn't even told by, well, by Black Panther. It wasn't told from his perspective. There's this journalist guy who's talking about stuff that happened in the past of Black Panther, and it keeps going to him, and then the girl he's telling it to, his boss, is like, no, what happened then? And I'm just like, this is such a pointless way of telling this story. It's just so wordy and boring and just, that's it. The next book I gave 2 stars, the penultimate on this list, was Black Panther Volume 1. I can't remember what it's called, it's there. I wanted to see whether it was just because it was told by this journalist perspective and that was the reason I didn't enjoy it. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give Black Panther another go because it might not be boring. I read this, it was boring. Apparently I don't like Black Panther and that's okay. I gave it 2 tries, it's boring. I find him boring, I find his family boring. The only part I found interesting were these 2 other characters that weren't anything to do with him, that were like doing bad shit. Those are interesting, but the politics, boring. I'm sorry, that's my opinion. Black Panther is boring. I've not seen the film yet, I'm sure that's probably enjoyable, but from what I've read, it's boring. And last but certainly not least, this isn't necessarily the worst book I read. It was just the most disappointing book I read. So number 1 on this list is Confessions of a Conjurer by Darren Brown. I'm just gonna throw it out here. I love Darren Brown. I think he's amazing. I've seen all of his shows, all of his specials. I've seen him live twice. I've met him. He's amazing. He's a lovely person. It's quite short, to be honest. He's only a little bit taller than me. You'll see in the picture. Here's a DVD that says To Carry On, Love Darren. I mean, I literally have one of the big things that was the finale on one of the times I saw him live, and I kept it and I got him to sign it. It says, "Dear Carrie-Anne, red pen, how exciting, love Darren." So, I fucking love Darren Brown. This book, however, is extremely just... It was a slog to get through. It was so long-winded. Some of the points he was making was just so pointless, and it's not even an anecdote, it's just chatting shit about something that nobody cares about. For example, there's a whole page just telling you how he clips his fingernails with clippers. Why is that necessary? A whole page for that? This takes place over one trick. He's showing one trick to these 3 people at an event he's doing, and then as he's telling it, he just randomly goes off in different tangents and tells you stories about his past or stories about magic. Some of them were interesting. I'm not saying it's the terrible worst book ever. There were some bits about magicians that were interesting, some little tidbits. Some bits about his life were interesting. But so much of it was so unnecessary. It's so much crap that nobody cares about. Also, there's footnotes in this. Let me just find you one, because this is stupid. Here's the page, right? Here's where the little asterisk is for the footnote. This, and this is all one footnote. Oh wait, there's more on the next page, and this. So you have to read 5 pages of footnotes and then go back to the page you were on originally to carry on reading it. Why? I feel sorry for anyone reading this on Kindle, because that's a lot of flicking through pages. It's just, and then the footnotes were just absolute unnecessary boring shit. For example, there was like a 5 half-page or 2/3 page thing, footnotes, that went on for 5 pages just describing how he gets into a lift. You don't need to explain, everything is so over-explained. It was so annoying. Even the trick was over-explained. I'm like, explain it a little bit, because it's interesting to know all these little tidbits of information and how the trick's done. But you don't have to explain every millimetre of a finger on every single little piece of one card, or take a whole page to explain how you get a clipper and then you put your nail into it, and you love the fact that you spin the little thing around and put it on top to make the clipper do this, and then you go around, but the clipper never goes fully, it always goes about halfway, and then you have to clip the end bit off again. Nobody gives a fuck. I originally gave this 3 stars, and then when I was writing my review I was like, you know what, I'm getting so angry about this, it's not a 3 stars, it is 2 stars. Unfortunately, I did enjoy certain parts of this. Some of the stories were interesting, some of his anecdotes are interesting, but there are just so many that weren't, and it was just so pointless. I've read one of his other books and I found that very interesting. I don't know why he decided to do that on this book. It's just a lot. So there we go, those were the 10 worst things I read in 2019. After all that negativity, I'm about to film my top 10 books, so that's gonna be fun. Let me know down below what were your least favourite books of 2019, if you've read any of these books, if your opinions were different. I know some of them are definitely going to be mixed opinions, like I know a lot of people really like The Lovely Bones and the 5th season. Let me know your thoughts. If this is your first video by me, you enjoy it, and please check out some of the others, and if you continue to enjoy them, please subscribe, that'd be awesome. Anyway guys, I'll see you in a few days with another video. Bye.